Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Worldview Bros Christmas Special. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of Christmas, the significance of the incarnation, and then after that, my brother Sal, he'll be joining me, and we'll fix up some drinks and talk about some of the best Christmas movies and some of our favorite Christmas traditions growing up. Don't miss it, y'all. It's all coming up. I'm Jim Horan, and this is the Worldview Bros. Well, a very Merry Christmas, everybody, and thank you for joining me. It is, in fact, the Christmas special. I'm looking forward to my brother joining in a bit, and I want to ask him about his favorite movies, and we'll kind of see where the conversation goes. But I first want to talk a little bit about why Christmas is so important. Now, this is obviously a specifically Christian conversation today, so, special thanks to my non-Christian friends who would still find it interesting to see what I have to say about Christmas. So here's the thing. I know that there are some denominations and some traditions that don't celebrate Christmas at all. And it's, I know it's not a large contingency, but there's an extreme that don't celebrate it at all, and then there's kind of a spectrum, right? And it's not just because of like commercialization and Santa Claus and stuff like that, though, perhaps for some, that's precisely why. But for some groups, it's really more a conscientious matter. And I think I understand it's because there's like no evidence of a celebration of Christmas in the Acts of the Apostles or in the epistles or in the very early church. And that's true. It's not until the 4th and 5th centuries AD that we start to see the tradition emerging. Some people think that it's not until Constantine that Christmas is celebrated, but some others think that it's like some decades before that in North Africa, in some churches there. But anyway, the point is, it's definitely not seen, or there's no evidence of it being in the very, very early church. So anyway, so some of these denominations and traditions, and they'd be certainly connected to the English and American Puritans, and I love the Puritans, but they do see Christmas as kind of like an aberrational tradition that's probably syncretized with pagan traditions like Saturnalia and stuff like that. Now, this stuff about Christmas, how it's really just a knockoff of Roman Saturnalia and the Feast of Sol Invictus, stuff like that, that's actually been debunked by many people who really know about this stuff. I don't really want to get into it right now. I don't know too much about the details of that, but I do want to provide this link here. This is an article by Kevin DeYoung, and he really kind of goes into this pretty well. The point that I'm trying to make is that I really do respect Christians who take a position on Christmas one way or another out of a sense of piety and just trying to do the right thing. Because, listen, and this is very important, something like how we celebrate Christmas and whether we even celebrate Christmas, I think that this is, it's not a question of salvation. I think that we definitely have Christian liberty in matters of this kind. We really do. Are you celebrating Christmas for the sake of glorifying God? Then God bless you. Are you not celebrating Christmas for the sake of glorifying God? Then God bless you just as much, That being said, here's what I think. I think it is important to celebrate Christmas, and I think it's important to continue meaningful Christmas traditions and even make new ones if they are helpful in focusing our attention and our worship. A particular holiday allows us to reflect on particular truths about our religion. Okay, so obviously in Christianity, the two big ones are Easter and Christmas, right? Now on Easter, the focus is on the death and resurrection of Jesus. What is happening at the spiritual level when Jesus dies? Why did he resurrect, and what are the implications of his resurrection? Well, on Christmas, the focus is incarnation. God, who is spirit, purposefully giving himself human flesh. right? So God willed himself to be fully a human being. This brings up 1,000 questions, y'all. Okay, there have to be many and huge implications for us that God did this. And there are probably no answers that don't involve deep mysteries. And my point is that even to Christians who have been taught all of this stuff, and we've brushed up on our theology and we read the Bible, we still really do need a space of time in the year to ponder those mysteries, because these are too big. These are big mysteries. And not just in one sit down with our Bible, okay? Not just in one group discussion, not just one day at church, but a season of the year, an Advent season that culminates on the day of Jesus' birth, right? That's how profound this mystery is. The glorious fact of Jesus' incarnation. And I'm serious, like in between Christmas parties, we should ponder the incarnation. As we drive to get our Christmas tree, we should listen to beautiful hymns and carols about baby Jesus and think about the incarnation. As you're wrapping your gifts with your spouse, you should be talking about it. So anyway, I'm just slightly exaggerating. I mean, I'm just saying that in between all of the festivities, we should be pondering and thinking precisely about what Christmas means, what's significant about the incarnation. So in the spirit of taking the time to ponder the mystery of the incarnation, let's look at what the early church father Irenaeus says about it. Irenaeus is a really important figure in the church, especially when it comes to the incarnation, because he spent his career like debunking and refuting the teachings of the Gnostics, one of which was that the material world that we see is an evil thing, created by an evil, lower God. And of course, the material world, that includes our bodies. The Gnostic teaching is that we as humans are actually like spirits trapped in our dirty bodies, okay? And we need a special knowledge or gnosis, which the Gnostics argued that Jesus is a messenger with that knowledge, and that this knowledge will bring salvation, an escape from the material world, okay? But of course, that's a complete heresy, okay? We know that there is only one God, and he created the world. He created us as beings that have spirit and body. There's nothing originally evil about the material world, okay? God created it, and everything that God does is good. Now, because of the original sin of Adam, and also because of our daily sins, we have absolutely brought on the corruption of the world, okay? You don't need to be a Christian to examine yourself and realize that there is something very much wrong with us. Why do we fail to do what we know is right? And why do we often desire what we know is wrong? Okay, that's sin. Now, that sinfulness, it's not like it only exists in our material body, as if we could escape sin by escaping out of our body. That's ridiculous. Our sinfulness is in our mind, our soul, and our body. It's important to understand our sinfulness, because otherwise the salvation that Jesus gives us doesn't make any sense. Now, the Gnostics rightly believed that we're in need of salvation. They're right about how something is wrong in this world, but they're wrong in their anthropology. We're embodied spirits, right? Our body is just as much a part of our identity as is our soul. And the Gnostics, in getting human nature wrong, they kind of carry over their mistake as to the nature of Jesus and how it is that he saves us. Adam sinned, and because we're under him, we sinned with him. See, we have to understand Adam was the representative of human nature. So human nature itself was corrupted. We are guilty and deserve absolutely nothing but God's justice. God is just, and he will administer justice. But glory be to God that he is also merciful. Okay, mercy is an attribute of God. And this is why Jesus, the second person of the Trinity, took on human nature so as to save us. Okay, so now we can finally get to Irenaeus' passage. So this is what Irenaeus says. For it was for this end that the word of God was made man, and he who was the Son of God became the Son of Man, that man, having been taken into the word and receiving the adoption, might become the Son of God. Now listen to this, guys. For by no other means could we have attained to incorruptibility and immortality, unless we had been united to incorruptibility and immortality. But how could we be joined to incorruptibility and immortality unless first incorruptibility and immortality had become that which we also are, so that the corruptible might be swallowed up by the incorruptibility, and the mortal by immortality, that we might receive the adoption of sons? Okay, that sounds complicated, but Irenaeus is very simply saying that Jesus needed to take on a complete human nature if human nature was to be redeemed. Athanasius says it really elegantly. He says this: what has not been assumed has not been redeemed. Right? And that makes sense, right? But you might ask, why exactly? I mean, does that really need to be the case? Isn't God all-powerful? If he is merciful and wants to forgive us, then why doesn't he just say so? He could just snap his fingers and we're forgiven, right? But that's not quite right, because God is also just. I mean, sure, God is all-powerful, but that doesn't mean that he acts randomly or on a whim, okay? He is what he is. He is what he is, right? And we wouldn't call him just if he simply ignored the fact of Adam's sin, right? If he just ignores what he did wrong and just kind of sweeps it under the rug, well, we kind of wouldn't respect him, right? Or we wouldn't glorify him as a just God. So the reality is that God achieves his mercy by way of his justice. Jesus takes the blame for Adam's sin, for our sins. Jesus takes the punishment. And not just punishment by death by crucifixion, but also like the spiritual wrath of the Father. Okay? But this is the importance then of the incarnation. Just as we fell with Adam, our human representative, so likewise we rise with Christ, our new human representative, who also happens to be God himself. This is why it's so important to know that Jesus is 100% human and at the same time 100% God. And I just wanted to say one last thing before I get Sal in here. I think it makes sense that Christmas is a much more jolly celebration compared to Easter, which is much more meditative and sober, right? Easter is convicting and even sad, we might say, because of Good Friday, right? Good Friday is the day of Jesus' death and punishment. And we can't help but feel the weight of it, right? I mean, if it weren't for my sins, Jesus wouldn't have to have suffered. Of course, we forget that Jesus didn't have to do anything, right? I mean, he does precisely what he wants. But still, it's appropriate that we feel the weight of our guilt on Good Friday. But honestly, that same sense of weight should translate to Christmas as well. It should hit us like a bucket of ice cold water in the face, that Jesus, from his eternal throne, God all-powerful, all-beautiful, all-truth, all-goodness, okay, that from his throne he would descend, and that Mary would give birth to him where the pigs eat, okay, on the manger. The indignity of Jesus' birth is not far removed from the indignity of his crucifixion. They're tied together. The theme is constant. It's a chain of humiliation and suffering that Jesus experiences because of our sin. And that starts on Christmas Day, okay? Still, there is something definitely jolly about how Jesus affirms the material reality of the world. He isn't affirming the fallenness of the world, don't get me wrong. He affirms the original goodness of it, and the super goodness of it that his incarnation necessarily brings with it. Okay. Here's what I mean. planet Earth will never not be the single planet in the universe where the God of the universe took on human nature. You see what I mean? Human nature, the human face, a face like mine and like yours, will never not be the face of God. Jesus has a human body just like ours. I mean, gosh, if he was okay with taking on human nature, if he was okay taking on a human body, then you better believe that I'm all over that. There's just something jolly about that. And that makes me think, guys, I mean, are we not seeing a Gnosticism reemergent in our society? A denial of the goodness of our bodies? A rejection of our human nature? Like we want freedom from it? Like we want freedom from our human nature? Like we want to escape it? Escape our body and live in the purity of our imagination? Of our unbridled imagination, not fettered by anything? You see, that's satanic. But we don't need to talk about that today because we're going to talk about Christmas. And so with that being said, I got to rearrange the furniture here, and I'm going to bring Sal in, and let's see what he has to say. Sally boy, here we are, man.
Hey, yes.
How you doing?
Here. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm excited for Christmas. Yeah.
I know, yeah. That's what this is about. So I wanted to just get together and talk about some of our Christmas traditions and talk about movies.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But I was kind of thinking we should get a drink first.
Okay.
So I was looking at this guy on YouTube that it's called How to Drink, and he has butterbeer. So obviously I want to give it. It's not like my recipe, but I just want to follow the recipe and see if it comes out good. So I figure let's go get a drink, and then we're gonna come back and talk about all this other stuff.
Sounds good.
All right,
perfect.
Let's do it. All right, Sal. So we have a cup full of butter.
Yes.
Let's try it.
All right. Cheers.
Let's see what you think. Dang.
That's pretty good.
It's still pretty strong.
It is. I know.
It almost accentuates actually the alcohol. When you heat it up, it's like you taste it a lot more.
I'm digging for the butter.
Oh no, it's full of butter. I've got butter on my beard.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Oh wow, I love it, man.
This is really good.
This is not bad at all.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering the flavors I'm picking up. I think the ginger's coming up pretty good.
Oh, definitely.
And the clove isn't overpowering.
Nope.
It just it's like the right amount of spice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll take another sip here.
So tell me, Jim, what's some of your favorite Christmas memories?
Well, it was definitely pretty meaningful. Or now you recognize how meaningful it was. But it definitely wasn't Christmas back then without doing the posada, which is the song of Mary and Joseph trying to find a place at the inn, and you have the whole family, like your cousins and everybody, friends, who knows who else is there, and it's like you have the two parts of the song,
and then everyone, you look around and maybe some people are singing the words, other people are just kind of like
right. Now, and we, obviously we've tried to do it here at home as well, but more limited group of people.
Right.
But it's still pretty cool to carry on that tradition. And
no, definitely. Yeah.
So now I have a question for you. What's your opinion about Santa in Christmas, especially that's kind of in different Christian circles that can be a little bit of a hot potato, Some Christians say, no, dude, we don't do any Santa Claus, I'm not going to lie to my kids. And others are like, it's no problem at all. Yeah. And I guess some people, maybe myself, I'm kind of looking for more of a middle ground.
Yeah.
But is that where you are? Or?
Yeah. So I would say I'm more middle ground. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to judge people that are like, no, like go to the extreme and they're like, no Santa for us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. It'd be different if maybe someone's trying to ruin Santa for everybody else, or they're like, you shouldn't, right. And condemning people for for wanting to have Santa, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I think part of it has to do with also just like the like being I guess the roots of Santa of Saint Nicholas, that makes it a lot better, right? Sure. Rather than like if we're talking about like the Easter Bunny. Like,
we definitely don't talk about the Easter Bunny on Easter time.
Like, what? Yeah. Like where is that from?
Right.
And so again, like I was saying, I don't judge people that decide to just not do that at all.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I know for us, like us growing up, like there was a Santa, but it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like Santa was. It was very clear, like our parents, it was clear that the center of Christmas was Christ.
Yes.
Which was beautiful, and then Santa was more of a, hey, like the here's a little festivity to having fun with Christmas and honestly, the colors and the Coke and the, bringing gifts, whatever.
I don't remember being a kid and like being emotionally invested in Santa Claus or even really believing that he was in fact like a physical person.
Yeah.
I think even as a kid, I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I mean, it's Jesus's birthday, right? It's when he was born.
Yeah.
And Santa Claus is kind of a cool mythical character that is part of Christmas. Now, of course, then later you realize, then you actually learn later, oh, it's not just a mythical creature like an Easter bunny. It was an actual person, and and just kind of gets enmeshed into the tradition.
Yeah.
And I don't see why that's like a big problem. But.
Yeah, no, and I if anything. I mean, maybe there was a moment where, like, I believed, like, in, like, what Santa's portrayed as.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't really even remember it. I do remember being the person that brought the bad news to all my friends in school.
Should we have done a spoiler alert if anybody had kids? Like, we're going to talk about how Santa...
Not really.
Right.
So. No, now I will go to the other extreme, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're going to talk about movies later. And there's times where like I'm watching movies where I'm like, man, what if this is the only thing kids are like seeing and hearing?
In some of those movies, it feels a little bit cringe to me that Santa Claus is such a big deal.
Yeah, and this just like the center around like the believe. Like,
you have to believe that Santa Claus is an actual that he's alive right now.
Yeah.
Actually handing out presents, that you must believe that is the theme of some of these movies. And I guess we're just supposed to say, oh, okay, it's sentimental and not think about it too much.
Yeah.
But it does give me a little bit of cringe. I would prefer to see a movie that could involve Santa Claus that doesn't take it to that extreme. I'm not sure what kind of movie I would be describing.
I know, right? Exactly. The focus of Christmas should always be Christ, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be careful to not say, all right, well, here's secular Christmas and here's actual Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I can just dip in here when I want and dip in here when I want.
I agree.
It's more like what you're saying. Kind of like let's find a middle ground where we can sing Jingle Bells and have fun.
Right.
Sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with your kids.
Right.
But then also know that, well, like what's truly behind the joy and the spirit of Christmas is the coming of Christ, right?
No, absolutely. I was talking about this a little bit before you came. And I 100% agree with you that I really don't want to be this judgmental person that judges people on either extreme. Yeah. When Christian families are like, you know what, we're just not going to do anything Santa Claus. We just don't think that that's right. And and I don't want to be in a position that I'm like lying to my children about this character. Man, God bless. I mean, what I'm saying is if the way that you're celebrating Christmas, if your focus is to glorify God in the way that you celebrate it, amen, brother. I mean, and there are, of course, a lot of strong Christians that do like having Santa Claus as this element in the festivities because it does kind of open up a certain dimension to the festivity.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you the idea of like this surprise element, this kind of mysterious element, this fun element. Santa Claus is fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a part of the sense of wonder that we're supposed to have, even thinking about the incarnation, it shouldn't just be like opening your Bible and like, okay, yeah, that's number 1. Okay, that's number 2. That's number 3. Okay, buy the book. That's how we're going to celebrate this.
Right,
It's supposed to be kind of this like quirky thing. Like Santa Claus is this, yeah, and if I agree that if we learn about Santa Claus, we want to learn about the actual Saint Nicholas who punched Arius in the face and who actually gave gifts to poor people. Okay, and like some of the stories are like pretty legit. Like down the chimney, he throws these gifts and land in stockings. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, So it adds this little bit of mystery, a little bit of quirky fun to the festivity.
Not to mention like good morals.
Let me say one last thing on the Santa Claus thing.
Okay.
Like if I had my way, assuming that I could control how these traditions work, I actually am not super fond of the element of Santa Claus that's all about, oh, he's making a list of the naughty kids and the good kids. Mm-hmm. Actually, to me, that's a little not towards the what we're trying to go for with Christmas. Yeah. I actually like a lot more the story that Saint Nicholas, just because of the kindness of his heart, went out of his way to bring gifts to people without checking to see
to
if
children more than
Well, actually, it was to like young women who
right. Yeah.
It was to young women because they were poor.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to give them a dowry so that they would be able to go into marriage, etc. So it's not like he was looking into their character or anything. It was just like, exactly. So I think I would prefer to emphasize kindness and humility and just helping people rather than, oh, you better be good,
Yeah.
I actually don't like that so much.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm totally with you on that.
Okay,
for sure.
Very good. Well, let's talk about the movies then. Okay. So I wanted to why don't we do Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies?
Top 4.
Yes. Yeah, okay. in no particular order. So it's just your Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
If you're going to watch 4 from here until you die, only these 4, what is it going to be?
I mean, okay, so we say not in an order, but like
okay.
Like,
you can give it an
who's
order.
Lincoln,
No, that's
like,
fine. Sure. However you want.
We got Lincoln,
Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington, and Teddy Roosevelt. He does not belong there at all.
I mean, like, I can tell you my Washington, but let's get to if we're gonna talk about the Big Daddy, right?
Okay.
But we'll get to the end there. So I have to write them down, so I'll pull them up right here.
Sure.
It's newer, but I think most people would now say that it's on here, and it would be Elf.
Oh,
Elf is on there. That came out 2003, and I cannot. Anytime that is on, I have to.
You have to watch it.
I watch
okay.
it.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to sit down and watch. I mean, Will Ferrell's performance in that is like one of the best.
Yeah.
As far as like comedies goes, like just lighthearted comedy. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the worst part of the movie is probably like the parents. They're not really that great. Like the dad's not really that great. But I mean, Will Ferrell just like overshadows every like bad part of that movie.
It's really funny.
And then obviously, I forget the name of the actor, but the guy who plays the Papa Elf is just so funny too. Like his like just like nonchalant, like he was like, and so buddy, I raised him, and like that. It's just really good. I mean, some of the best things. I mean, like I quote it all the time. Everyone quotes it,
right?
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. I mean, like do I go? Somebody needs a hug.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious. It is lighthearted. It's for any age.
Yeah.
But the next one, I'm going actually from like kind of newest to like oldest because that's just how naturally how it goes. So I would say as far as the progression of the grip that it might take on people.
Okay.
And the next one I put on was Home Alone, 1990. Okay. Came out in 1990. And like I understand that this one's less on Christmas necessarily and more so like Christmas is like the setting.
Yeah.
Right? And in my honorable mentions, I even put Home Alone 2 because everyone loves that one too.
Yep.
But the first one is just the best one, I think, for me.
Yeah.
And the comedy, the physical comedy that those two guys do, and even, I mean, just how good Macaulay Culkin was in it. It's just really cool. I don't know. It's just a fun one for the kids. Eli loves it.
Sure.
So
I'll talk about it now because it's on my list as well.
Okay, cool.
And I just watched it again just recently, and I do love that movie. Now, I think it's pretty cool how right before he has the battle, right, in his home, he goes to church, right? That's kind of a cool scene, and he makes that connection with the old man.
Yeah, the old Holy Night playing in the background.
Yeah. I mean, to me that was kind of nice. That's I don't know. It's definitely coming from an older America, I feel like. Yeah. And honestly, what I sometimes I get a little teary-eyed in some of these movies, even though it's kind of ridiculous, but just the femininity of the mom is just kind of strikes me, how like she has that sensation, oh my gosh, something's wrong, like we definitely forgot something. And just like her
the dad's
pain.
Like yeah. Like, I mean, it's so it's pretty accurate.
I know, it is pretty accurate.
Oh, that's it. It's
the mom.
No, the garage. To close the garage.
No, and even after the fact, even when they know that they have to go back, it's like she's in agony. And the dad is just like, okay, well, look, we're going to go to the hotel. We're going to come back, We'll get there on Monday, it's fine. And meanwhile, the mom's like, no, I have to get back now, right? Yeah. And so, of course, when they meet at the end, I mean, that is rough, man. That is definitely rough on the feels there when they meet at the end.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like, and talk about, again, rewatchable. It's so rewatchable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Eli's obsessed with it, and I watch it with him almost every time.
Yeah, that's a timeless movie.
For sure. All right, what's your next one? Actually, I said I was going to go in order from, like, time.
Okay.
But I'm actually going to go to the oldest one on here. Because
it's not your favorite.
Because it's not my favorite one. It's A Wonderful Life. That came out in 1946. Mm-hmm. An amazing movie. I mean, like, this is when I was talking earlier about just values and good morals. Like, this movie is the epitome of that, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, your last one.
Last one, which is my favorite one by far. I think it is the best Christmas movie I've ever watched. It's amazing. I love it.
Which one it is.
White Christmas.
Oh, White Christmas. Okay.
And that came out in 1954. I mean, obviously, it's what's his face?
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
Fred Astaire. Is Fred Astaire in that one?
No, it is our good pal. Oh my gosh, I was like about to say his name, and then Danny Kaye.
Oh right, yeah,
incredible. I mean, I think Danny Kaye is. I mean, Bing Crosby is really great, but Danny Kaye is like incredible, and he steals the show in a lot of ways in this movie. And the music is incredible. The story's awesome. You get some good morals in it. You get some awesome dancing, some great music. That in the 50s, man, you see what it meant to be a star at that time.
Right.
You were a triple threat. You could sing, you could dance, and you could act.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like that's when you had some of the best performers. Yeah. And this movie is just all centered around Christmas. It's centered around performing and singing and the wintertime, and it's just beautiful. So.
White Christmas, I know I've seen it, but I think just like once or twice. So I don't even remember it that well.
Man.
So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of missing out on that. I think I should watch that one this year.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, all right. So I have, like I said, Home Alone. So I talked about that.
Okay.
And so the other one I have that's also kind of a modern one. And so kind of like instead of Elf, I have the Santa Claus. I like that one a lot.
I thought about that one.
Yeah. And that one, I don't know. That one is my weakest link here.
It's in my honorable mention.
Okay, sure.
Go tell me about it. Why?
Oh, yeah. I don't have a great reason why. I like Tim Allen a lot.
I love Tim Allen.
I mean, he's
great.
To me, well, like when I think funny Christmas, I'm either thinking Elf or I'm thinking the Santa Claus. And so, I don't know. I could have potentially had Elf there, but I think I like Santa Claus a little bit more. Not a ton to say about that one. And again, I could probably change that up with a more meaningful Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. I just recently watched Miracle on 34th Street, which I hadn't seen. That one. And I liked it a lot.
I think there's a remake. There's a remake too of it.
Yes, right? Yeah, like in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
But Miracle on 34th Street is definitely going to go into my rotation. So I can see that being better than the Santa Claus. But I feel strongly about my top two. Those are not going to move.
All right.
And one of them...
So you're Lincoln and you're Washington here. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And so one of them is It's a Wonderful Life.
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet and I'm going to see the world.
And it's a beautiful movie. Frank Capra is the director. I like all of his movies. They tend to have a little bit of mushiness, a little sentimentality to it that can be a little cloying, right? But take it or leave it. I mean, that's a part of it, and I like it.
What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
So no, I mean it's such a great movie. Andrew Klavan talks really intelligently about it, and I'm trying to remember what he says about it. Like he says that it's like this photo negative of A Christmas Carol.
I'm in trouble, Mr. Potter. I need help.
At exactly 10:45 p.m. Earth time, that man will be thinking seriously of throwing away God's greatest gift.
Like Scrooge is able to see what life is like, or what life was before, right? So he kind of sees his influence in the world when he was younger. So something that he forgets, like he forgets his humanity or something like that. Yeah. But then George Bailey, he of course gets this vision of what life would have been like without him at all, right? So it's like this photo negative idea. Obviously, the whole movie is very reminiscent of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
and so it's definitely just kind of uplifting of what it means to be a human being, right? And it gives you that hope, like no matter how badly things are going in life, you know.
There's that sense of like he's like in desperation. There's like the hope comes from a place of desperation.
I don't want any plastic. I don't want any ground floors. And I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do.
No matter what dregs you are in your life, there's always a reason to be hopeful. There's always a reason to be happy about the life that you have, right? Yeah. So, because what's his reaction when he comes back to life, essentially, right? When he's given his life back, it's like, I mean, I'm in debt. Like my family's probably going to go hungry, okay? But I couldn't be happier because just life is such a gift. So anyway, a beautiful movie. It's like number one for a large amount of people, and so it's a classic.
So this was not your number one.
Well, it is my number one.
Number one.
Yeah,
okay.
But my number two, or pretty close to it, is Shop Around the Corner.
Oh, that's a great one.
I love that.
It's my honorable mention as well. It's a great one. Yeah.
No, I mean, let me tell you about Shop Around the Corner. It's so beautiful because it's in Christmas time and everything, and it's really not until the end of the movie that it really touches on Christmas. But it's a beautiful love story in the middle of the Christmas season. And, of course, we've probably talked about it before, but Shop Around the Corner is like the original You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
And it's this cool story where two people fall in love without ever having met. So they haven't seen anything of their physical appearance or anything else, but their minds touch, right? I was talking before about how Christmas is important because it presents us with the reality of incarnation and how we are, we are beings of spirit and body, right? And so, of course, what God is doing in Christmas time is he is taking on human flesh, taking on the body, and because that was necessary for our salvation. And so his love goes to this extent that he will humiliate himself to take on this, the form of one of his creatures, which is a human being.
Yeah.
And so think about this, like if God honors our body that much, to what extent should we honor our bodies?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, so we want to be careful not to denigrate the body. And yet, on the other hand, so what you have here in Shop Around the Corner is, okay, well, let's hang out on the other aspect of a human being for a little bit. Let's actually not lose ourselves in the body. Let's also explore this, how human beings are spirit as well as body.
Yeah.
And so it's so cool, like when people fall in love that way without ever having seen their own bodies, because they've fallen in love with their spirit, with their thoughts, with their kindness and their words and the way that they write to each other.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm sure you probably even have a little bit of a personal touch to this. You know, I know that you and Dora saw each other, obviously, you know, and but I do remember the stories of you talking about your email exchanges.
Oh yeah,
and how that was your main form of communication.
That's right.
And I'm sure you can relate to that. You know, just kind of falling in love with her through her words, through, you know, what she had to say and all that. That's
no,
cool.
It's funny you mention
that.
That
Kind of dawned on me.
Yeah,
you know?
right. So. No, I mean, I've been. I
hope I didn't steal your thunder there.
No. I say this to people sometimes, like the importance of writing letters to people.
Yeah.
And you know, nobody like writes letters anymore, and now it's at the point that we don't really email each other anymore. You know.
Yeah.
There's a time, I think, still in the aughts and you know, in that time frame, that people would still correspond by email, you know, before Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff. And there really is something to that kind of medium of sitting down, actually thinking and writing down clear, coherent thoughts to someone. you know?
Jim, are you saying that you're suggesting that like we should start writing letters to each other?
I think we should. I'm not joking. I mean,
all right. Well, I'll write
I think
a letter
that's
to you. I'll walk down like in a movie or something, or I'll walk down to your house and stick it in the mailbox and, you know, put the flag up and then walk away and wait for you to read it to send me one back.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, obviously this could be like a 10-hour conversation, but this does have to do with our stuff with social media and everything else.
Like, don't get me wrong, I completely agree with you.
But yeah, the question is, how do you go back to older traditions? You know, when these new ones come in with so much force, and just how easy it is to just communicate with your friend just because you post this picture and you say a few words, you know.
Yeah.
And our lives have become so busy that you know, it seems crazy to take the time to write down a letter in peace and quiet, right? And to speak from the soul, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's a really cool, you know, if you think about it, it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
And a really nice movie. It takes place in Hungary and in Christmas time, and the end scene with the owner of the store at the very end is very, very touching. So anyway, so these, you know, I'd be happy with these movies, Sal. Well, I'm looking forward to our parties. We got our Christmas party coming up, and of course, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And man, I'm thinking about the new videos that are coming out. So I still have the last one of Freedom that I have to make, the last episode on Freedom. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna take a week off next week, and then come up with that last episode on Freedom. Nice. Then after that, it looks like you're stepping down from the show, from what you told me.
Exactly.
But you're still gonna come and visit for you know, every time we do. We'll have to do the Oscar movie night.
Yeah.
Though I don't know if there's going to be anything great to talk about for that.
There's been some movies that have come out that have been pretty good. So yeah, I mean, like, for those of you listening, if you're wondering, you know, it's I haven't been around for the last couple of videos. You know, just just kind of reevaluating some stuff in my life. Just like, life has hit me pretty fast, pretty hard with a lot of different things. And, like I was telling you, Jim, like I needed to step down for now. And,
yeah.
And, I know the show's going to be awesome, no matter what with you. And, because ultimately, like when I really think about it, if we're seeking truth, that's the most important thing. And it doesn't matter whether there's two of us or one of us. I know that's still going to be a great thing out there. And I'm looking forward to, I'll still be around. I'm looking forward to whenever you want me around.
Yeah.
And I can pop in and drink some butterbeer, right. Talk about some movies and talk about some truth, So, so I'm around, and I look forward to that. But yeah, Worldview Bros to Worldview Bro.
That's right.
Best bro ever. So
yes. But anyway, no. I mean, it's we're gonna look back years from now and just rewatch some of our classic videos.
I know, right?
That's gonna be great.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having me on for this one, and it was fun just getting to talk about some Christmas.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna make some more of this tomorrow for Dora.
Cheers again. Here
yes,
we go.
Sir.
All right.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks again for joining us today. I hope you guys liked it. And if you did, don't be shy about hitting the like button. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, with your family. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. I want to leave you, though, with this little gem that I found. I didn't know that this existed, but I learned that J.R.R. Tolkien, my absolute hero, wrote a Christmas poem back in the day. And so let me just close with that. So I'll just read this for you. So the poem is just called Noel, and here it is. Grim was the world and gray last night. The moon and stars were fled. The hall was dark without song or light. The fires were fallen dead. The wind in the trees was like to the sea, and over the mountain's teeth it whistled bitter cold and free, as a sword leapt from its sheath. The Lord of Snows upreared his head, his mantle long and pale, upon the bitter blast was spread, and hung o'er hill and dale. The world was blind, the boughs were bent, all ways and paths were wild. Then the veil of cloud apart was rent, and here was born a child. The ancient dome of heaven sheer was pricked with distant light. A star came shining white and clear, alone above the night. In the dale of dark, in that hour of birth, one voice on a sudden sang. Then all the bells in heaven and earth together at midnight rang. Mary sang in this world below. They heard her song arise, o'er erst and over mountain snow to the walls of paradise. And the tongue of many bells was stirred in heaven's towers to ring, when the voice of mortal maid was heard, that was mother of heaven's king. Glad is the world and fair this night, with stars about its head. And the hall is filled with laughter and light, and fires are burning red. The bells of paradise now ring with bells of Christendom, and Gloria, Gloria we will sing, that God on earth is come. Well, with that beautiful poem, guys, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, that you enjoy the time with your family. I hope that you're jolly, and, that we also spend a little time pondering as well, right? So anyway, I actually won't be here next week, but then the following week, we're going to go ahead and conclude the series on freedom. So we'll have the last episode on freedom. Let me know in the comments if you have ideas for what other topics to cover. I have a list going, but I want to hear from you what you might be interested in. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next time. Bye.